if you want to buy photography filters, you're often faced with prices well above $100. Especially for novelty filters producing stars or anamorphic lens effects, that can be quite a lot of money for something you don't intend on using that often. So for a long time, I've been looking for a cheap and easy alternative that might even have some advantages compared to the filters you buy online. So, let's get into 3 kinds of filters you can make yourself. I started by buying a lot of cheap UV filters. Each of these was just $3. And although when buying filters it is often recommended to choose the biggest filter size you might use, in this case it is best to just go for the cheapest size. In my case, these are all filters with a diameter of 52mm. Now, although these are a bit too small for some of my lenses, I can just use a step-down ring to adapt them. As long as your filter covers the glass area of your lens, you should be fine. But let's get going with the first technique. Making your own Pro Mist filter. One of the most popular filters out there, often used to create a dreamy or film-like appearance in your images. This filter is actually one of the easiest to make yourself. All you need is one of the before mentioned UV filters and some hairspray. I like to spray it onto the inside of the filter. That way it is a bit more resilient against water. After letting it dry, you've made a filter that's not only comparable to some of the filters you buy online, but even has 2 big advantages over them. First, you can easily change the amount of diffusion. If you want more diffusion, just add more hairspray, and if you want less, just remove it using a wet cloth. The second advantage is that you have complete freedom in the coverage of your diffusion. What I mean by that is that you can easily mask off certain areas before applying the hairspray. This will give you some quite unique effects. Now, if you like this video so far, maybe consider liking or subscribing. But let's continue with the next technique. Making your own anamorphic lens flare filter. As the name suggests, this technique allows you to introduce anamorphic lens flares into your images. Before we can make the actual filter though, we first need to prepare a few pieces of cardboard, or more specifically, circles the same diameter as the glass of your filter. As they don't have to be too exact, I just quickly cut them out using some scissors. After that, we can place the cardboard circles underneath the filter. Make sure that the filter is completely resting on the cardboard and that the outside of the filter is facing downwards. As you can see, I added a pencil line to the top piece of cardboard going straight through the middle of the circle. This line will work as a guide during the next step. Speaking of the next step, you're going to need a sharp metal object. If you have an engraving chisel, that would be ideal, but if not, don't worry, an X-Acto knife works just fine. Just take the knife and run it along the cardboard line multiple times. The pieces of cardboard will enable you to exert quite some force, allowing you to make a long and even scratch into the filter. If you now mount the filter to your camera, you'll see that lens flares will appear perpendicular to that exact scratch. Again, using this technique gives you quite a bit more freedom than just buying one of these filters online. If, for example, you want to create a star filter, you can just add more scratch lines onto your filter, giving you a wonderful customizable effect. By the way, I'd love to see your images made with some of these filters. Just tag me on Instagram @byjuliansandro. But let's get to the final and most extreme technique of this video, making what I call the ultimate filter. Some images of which you can see on screen now. When making this filter, anything goes. If you want to add hairspray, add hairspray. If you want to use the X-Acto knife technique from before, do that. If you accidentally broke a filter during the prior techniques, this is the place to use that and save that filter. For mine, I even decided to get some 60 grit sandpaper to add even more scratches to it. The result leaves you with an incredibly unique image, an image that you wouldn't be able to achieve with any of the filters you can buy online. And that's it. These are my top 3 photography filters to make yourself. Other than that, I hope that you enjoyed this video and maybe found something interesting or inspiring. As always, if you have any questions, be sure to ask them in the comments, and if you want to see more of these videos, subscribe. Until then, see you next week.